The next item on the agenda is House File 2100 from Representative Jordan. Welcome to the committee, Representative Jordan. I will move House File 2100 be laid over for possible inclusion in an omnibus bill. Representative Jordan, to your bill.
Good afternoon, Chair Stevenson and members. I'm happy to be here today with House File 2100, which would create a grant program through the Department of Commerce to be used for air ventilation repairs, upgrades, and full replacements in schools. And members, before I get going, I want to note that this is a work in progress. We are still working on final language with the bill with workers and advocates and the departments. But this grant program is important. Air quality in our schools matters. Prior to COVID, the #1 reason why children in Minneapolis public schools missed school was because of asthma. Asthma is a respiratory disease. So is COVID. Not only that, our air quality for both heating and air is important for student learning and student achievement. And during COVID, we saw these disparities amongst our schools in terms of who had the resources to keep students and staff safe with better indoor air quality. And that's why this bill focuses first on the schools that are most in need. If schools do not have full-time professionals on site, it's likely that they have not been conducting regular assessments of their full ventilation systems. And this grant program is intended to get them access to that, help perform the work, and make sure our schools are safer for students and staffs, but also have energy efficiency, which will help us with climate goals and save schools money on utility bills. While conducting these assessments, many deficiencies will be found that allow for schools to proactively address many of their heating and cooling needs, especially cooling. Those hot months during a school year can be extremely difficult for everyone inside these facilities, and you're going to hear from an educator shortly who will tell you just how difficult it is to teach and learn when it is extremely hot out. And members, this does matter for student achievement. I think you will remember that the St. Paul Public Schools had to cancel a week of school and end the school year early a few years ago because of extreme heat, because so many of their facilities did not have the HVAC systems that were needed to keep classrooms clean and keep students and staff safe. It's important that this work is being done by a skilled and trained workforce. During COVID, we did see many emerging sales techniques pop up and make a lot of promises about what indoor air quality could be without the data to back it up. And so by requiring this work to be done by a skilled and trained workforce, we can ensure that the state resources and school resources are being spent in responsible ways by a workforce dedicated to quality control. There are a lot of stakeholders that are working on this. As I mentioned, it is supported by a broad coalition. One of the changes that I think I will be pursuing is some of the questions around the certification that is outlined in the bill. I think that is pretty easily adjusted to make sure that all workers who are skilled and able to do this work can be employed in doing this work. And with that, Chair Stevenson, I would like to turn over the bill presentation to Colin Beery with the Sheet Metal Workers, Local 10.
Mr. Beery, welcome to the committee. And state your name for the record. Proceed to your testimony.
Chair and members, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Chair, if it makes sense, I would like to just brief on our support side and then do a high level on the bill walkthrough.
That sounds great.
Okay, I'll carry through with that. My name is Colin Beery. I run government affairs for the Sheet Metal Workers Local 10. I'm here to speak in support of House File 2100. Our members work predominantly in the vertical construction industry, fabricating, installing, upgrading, and maintaining HVAC systems. We see the creation of this air ventilation program as a step forward in addressing and improving the artificial environments our members have helped create for decades inside of school facilities. We ask the committee to support House File 2100 and thank Chair Stevenson for allowing the bill to be heard, and many thanks to the author for carrying this bill. Moving on to the bill itself. So, walking through the bill, obviously the outline of the program itself, the air ventilation program. Then moving on to Section 2, we get into program grants and guidelines. Inside of that, we talk. It outlines grants awarded for reimbursement for things such as a physical ventilation assessment, work performed, possible fixes, additions and upgrades to the ventilation system. Moving on to grant awards, outlines work performed by qualified testing personnel, work performed by skilled trained workforce, reimbursements to schools after HVAC verification report, outlines compliance with listed requirements on assessed systems, prioritizes support to Title I funded schools, grants reimburse 50% costs incurred to the school. Then moving on to guidelines and rules, adoption of the program guidelines, establish timing of the grant funding, technical reporting ability to amend, funds for to the administrator for the program. Then moving on to Section 3, we have all the definitions. Section 4, appropriations. Thank you for your time. I stand for questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Beery. We have a few other testifiers that we'll take now, and then we'll move to discussion and questions. The first on my list is John Quarnstrom. Come forward, state your name for the record, proceed your testimony. And again, the 2-minute thing is in apply here too.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, honorable members of the committee. My name is John Quarnstrom. I am the CEO of the Sheet Metal Air Conditioning and Roofing Contractors Association. We're a local trade association with 200 plus contractors performing HVAC work in Minnesota. We support House File 2100 because of the importance of indoor air quality in schools. Over the last couple of years, the importance of maximizing the number of air exchanges, maximizing air filtration, and ensuring ventilation systems are operating as designed, that importance has been elevated. When the HVAC system is working properly, there is reduced exposure to airborne illnesses, including COVID. Good ventilation reduces CO2 levels, which improves the learning opportunities in school. And finally, an HVAC system operating as designed is more energy efficient than compared to being out of sync. It appears state dollars will soon be available for determining whether these HVAC systems are operating properly and whether these systems are achieving all of the air exchanges that they can if they're properly dialed in. House File 2100 ensures that indoor air quality assessments will be performed by qualified personnel that are knowledgeable on HVAC design and operation. House File 2100 ensures that the needed repairs and revisions will be performed by quality personnel. To simplify, we support House File 2100 because using qualified personnel to perform indoor air quality work provides the best opportunity for return on state investment dollars in schools.
Thank you, sir. Our next testifier is Ken McCrawley. Come forward, state your name for the record, proceed your testimony. Welcome to the committee.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I think this is a great bill, but what I think it leaves out is all the minority contractors that aren't a part of a trade association, being a union, or having an approved apprenticeship program, right? There are good companies out there that actually have training programs, right? It immediately puts my 38 black men out of work. We can't, since we're not an approved apprenticeship program, we can't work in the schools, right? So this bill says that we're looking for the schools that are poverty-ridden and to be able to upgrade their HVAC programs. 100% agree with that. There needs to be a program like that, but I want the people who work for me that live in North Minneapolis, South Minneapolis, and in the St. Paul area to be able to participate in this program. Maybe it's a change of language, right? It immediately puts a hardship on minority companies. Minority companies that right now are not participating for numerous reasons, right? But the ones that are, it immediately puts a hardship on them. The state has a diverse business enterprise program that the state pays millions of dollars for people in the state to put out there. We need to put those businesses to work to be able to include it in this bill. I don't know what that language looks like, but they need to be able to participate, right? I agree that they need to have training, they need to be skilled, but there has to be more than one track. So if this bill goes through, there's a lot of people of color that will not work or participate in that. I guess the question is how many companies or how many black companies are there that are currently participating, and how many will it leave behind? I think the language needs to be changed to include those companies. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next testifier is David Raji. Please come forward, state your name for the record, proceed to your testimony.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. David Raji. Raji is spelled R-A-D-Z-I-E-J. I'm the Executive Vice President of the Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Contractors here in Minnesota. Our offices are in Arden Hills, and we are one of the longest continuous managed nonprofit construction associations in the state. We date back to 1883, some 30 years after the state of Minnesota was formed. Every improvement in your life is a result of a change you have made, but not every change is an improvement. House File 2100 starts off on the right foot. It appropriates grant money for school boards to make needed assessments and improvements to the air quality inside our schools, as studies have proven that better air quality has significantly improved our children's test scores, and I thank you for that. Here, this legislation today is not to improve. Where this legislation is not improving starts on line 4.7 and goes to 4.23 or 4.22. We feel this language impedes competition and blocks many contractors in each of our school districts from bidding on local work. You should not implement requirements that eliminate competitive bidding. The construction industry is short of employees. The school districts want their schools to be opened on time each fall. This current language will increase pressure on those construction schedules, on the workers, because overtime will be needed, and on their families, as they will be missing the ball games. I have nephews that are sheet metal union workers. I have nephews that are pipe fitters in the union, and I have a son that's a plumber in the union. I'm here today requesting that union and non-union plumbing, heating, and cooling contractors across the state be allowed to bid these projects. PHCC is willing to work with the authors of this legislation to improve the children's schools that we are attending. We're asking not to have you approve this today, and we would be willing to work on legislative language that improves the opportunities for everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Stand for comments.
Thank you. And then our last testifier is Janie Atchison. State your name for the record, proceed to your testimony. Welcome to the committee.
My name is Janie Atchison. Hello, Chair and committee members. I am a 6th and 7th grade social studies teacher, currently on leave from St. Paul Public Schools as a member lobbyist at Education Minnesota. My classroom was built in the 1930s as part of the WPA program. This means the temperature is controlled by a boiler system in the colder months, and there is no air conditioning during the warmer months. Research studies from Harvard, Stanford, the National Bureau of economic studies, as well as countless others, have shown what any one of my students already know. As temperatures rise, learning decreases. In June of 2021, my classroom reached 94 degrees. I have a photo, if anyone would like to see it. I swear it to prove it. My students were miserable. The night before, the district sent a message to parents encouraging them to send their students with a damp cloth and a water bottle to help them cool during the day, as if those two items could combat the effects of sweltering heat. Due to safety and liability concerns, my classroom windows only open 3 inches. They're bolted at that level, and only half of my windows open, which allows for minimal air circulation. I was not provided with a fan from the district. Teachers had to bring in their own fans if they wanted one. Multiple teachers attempted to make swamp coolers in hopes just to cool a portion of their room or bring the temperature back into the 80s. I ask this rhetorically, but how much work would we all get done in this room if we cranked the temp past 90, added high humidity, and had almost no air circulation? My best educated guess is that we would try to get through things as quickly as possible and then leave. My students and I did this for 7 hours for multiple days. According to the National Bureau of Economic Statistics, for every 1 degree increase, it is a 1% decrease in student learning. And if you are trying to test your students on those days, you might as well forget it, because all the research shows that students are unable to test well in the heat. But my school district are not alone. The American Council of Civil Engineering gives Minnesota school infrastructure a C-. From small rural districts to large urban ones, our schools are extremely old. Our students are suffering. It is an equity issue. Schools and districts who can pass referendums to pay for new buildings do so. And students whose districts are unable to pass these referendums are forced to suffer. I urge this committee to pass this bill so all students in our great state can learn in cool conditions. And I promise you, all 7th graders want is to be cool.
That's true.
Thank you for your testimony. And just before we get to member discussion, I hope committee members can try and keep their side conversations, the volume down. It's getting a little out of control, and I'd like to be able to hear the testifier speak. So thank you for your testimony. Are there any members of the public wishing to testify to this bill? Seeing none, member discussion to the bill. Representative Doubt.
Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative, for bringing this forward. Over the year, Republicans are the original conservationists. Over the years, I've worked on 2 different bills like this. I actually think there's a better way to do this bill that would allow you to do more work. A few years ago, we had a bill that it was a financing mechanism that allowed a company to come in and upgrade the HVAC systems, and then you could use the future savings as the payment back to the company, and they would guarantee the savings. The amount of energy loss by having inefficient equipment is mind-boggling when you look at the statistics. I also worked on a bill, and I understand you want to start somewhere, and the schools is a great place to start, but this is about 0.5% of the buildings that are out there, the huge, enormous buildings that have old HVAC equipment that should be upgraded if you want to really make a meaningful dent in energy use in the state. There's another bill that we worked on at one time that would have allowed a tax credit for companies that would replace outdated equipment for more energy efficient equipment. And that allows them to keep their costs down, but also much less energy use, which I think we all want to achieve. So if those that are supporting this bill, if you want a bill that will actually do about 100 times the work that this one does, come and see me. I'll help you write it, because I think this is sort of on the right track, but the ideas that I have and that we've worked on in the past won't take any general fund appropriation. So you can use your money for other stuff, and you can still accomplish this times 100. And there are really creative ways to do that other states are doing. And all of the people here that do this great work would be busy for 100 years if we pass that bill. So thank you.
Representative Jordan, any closing comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it's really obvious that the air in our schools is as important for our children's learning. So I hope you can support this bill, and I hope to keep working with you, Chair Stevenson, and you, Representative Doubt, on making sure that our kids can learn in schools. I'm happy to work with all the advocates as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Representative Jordan. And with that, the bill is laid over.